You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Ricky Camilleri. From politics to parenting, HuffPost blogs run the gamut. And every day at HuffPost Live, we like to shine a spotlight on some of the hottest blogs on our site. Now, while mainstream thinking suggests that we cover up and maintain some modesty in front of our kids, it's not always so easy. One Iowa mom has made the choice not to be bashful around her young sons, both out of convenience and principle. In her blog, Why I Want My Sons to See Me Naked, Rita Templeton reveals her open-door policy and why she's proud that the first female body her kids will see is her own. Here to talk with me about her blog is Rita Templeton. Hi, Rita. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So right off the bat, what prompted you to write this blog? It's one thing to do this, it's another to share it.
Well, I'm a classic oversharer, I suppose. That's why I blog, because I like to put myself out there and be able to identify with other moms, because I know I'm not alone in my viewpoints and the mistakes I make and the way I do things. And I think it's nice for other people to be able to relate. So I just put myself out there so that I can find out who else is in the same boat, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to pull up a quote from your piece, something about the real female body. You say, because I want them to see what a real female body looks like, because if I don't, and their first images of a naked woman are the impossibly perfect physiques in those magazines or those movies, what kind of expectations will they have, and what woman could ever live up to them? So was the decision to be in the buff in front of your children out of not being bashful, or to expose them to what real women look like?
Well, it wasn't exactly a decision. It just kind of is a natural progression. From the time my oldest son was an infant, I would put him in his bouncy seat so that I could get, 5 minutes to shower. And he'd be sitting on the bath mat and I'd be toweling off. And so from the time my kids are little, they have seen me naked. It just happens. And so it wasn't a decision that I made like, yes, I want this to happen. This is how it happened. But I got to thinking about it and I thought, I wonder when is the time when I should start covering up in front of them. But then I thought, if I cover up in front of them, if I'm trying to be modest, then they'll never see what a quote unquote real woman looks like. And I mean, until they get much older and are exposed to these images that are so often unrealistic. And I didn't want that to be their ideal and then have them be disappointed, or have whoever they happen to see naked in the future be disappointed because they can't live up to some kind of ideal standard that's not real.
Do you talk to your sons about your about body parts while you're nude in front of them, or do you just sort of figure you'll talk about that later?
Only if they ask. I mean, they will ask about stretch marks or something like that occasionally, but it's very rare because they're so used to seeing me that way that it's not like they're curious. It's not something they haven't seen before. So, if they ask me questions, I talk to them about it, but I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't make it a point to say, hey, look, this is what I have,
Absolutely. Have they asked any questions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes kids are curious, and especially if the anatomy that they're seeing is different than their own, they want to know. And I don't think it's a bad thing to be honest with them.
Mm-hmm. At what age do you think you'll stop being comfortable being nude in front of them?
Really, it kind of is going to depend on them. Like right now, my oldest son is 9, and he still will talk to me while I'm naked, but he is learning that there are boundaries and that, when he comes in and I'm drying off after a shower and he asks me a question or something, he will naturally kind of speak the other way. He doesn't sit and stare at me while I'm naked. It's just, I think it progresses naturally. I think they will kind of decide when they don't want to see it anymore, and I can read their cues. If I feel like they're uncomfortable with it, then I'll stop.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to sort of try to present what may be to them later in life after they're going through puberty, while they're going through puberty, what is going to be for them a sort of sexualized female body, not necessarily because of what society dictates we sexualize, but because that's what they're going through, and at this moment present to them a female body of this kind. Do you think they'll be able to recognize your body as a natural female body and these other ones as not, or they'll recognize you as something that is not sexual, whereas these things are sexual?
I hope that they will recognize that I mean, they will recognize that I'm not sexual, of course, because I'm their mother, and who thinks their mother is sexual. But I'm hoping that they will know a difference between the female body, the way it normally looks, and the photoshopped images that we so often see in the media.
Mm-hmm. Now, the article has gone pretty viral. Have you gotten any flack from other parents or support?
Oh my gosh, I've gotten a ton of both. I've gotten an incredible outpouring of support, and I've also been called a pedophile and a pervert. So, I mean, the people that are disgusted by the article obviously have a very misconstrued idea of what I was trying to convey. They seem to think I'm walking around in pasties and a G-string and saying, "Hey, boys, come look at this," which is completely not true.
I believe you.
Right. So, yeah, I've gotten both. I've gotten both sides, but I think overwhelmingly people are supportive.
Mm-hmm. And so what exactly is it? It's just essentially they happen to catch you coming out of the shower. It's not necessarily, it's just being open and proud of your body. It's not necessarily flaunting the body. Exactly.
Oh, yes. It's not flaunting. Absolutely not. It is just, kids will be kids. And I do try to teach them about modesty. I tell them, you poop with the door closed and you close the door when you shower and stuff like that. But kids are kids and they will barge in on you. I don't care what you're doing. If they feel like they need to tattle on their brother for taking their Ninja Turtle sword, then they're going to do it no matter whether you're naked or not. So it's just incidental things like that, when I'm in the bathroom or, when I'm in the shower or when I'm changing clothes into my pajamas and they're talking to me. It's just incidental life,
Yeah. What's your partner's nudity policy?
He's fine with it. I mean, it's never been something we have sat down and discussed because we're both just kind of the notion that it's not really, I mean, the body's nothing to be ashamed of. He doesn't walk around naked as much as I do, but the kids are with me more often, as far as he's at work and I work from home. So they just have more of a chance to see me naked, I think. But he doesn't have any qualms about it.
Mm-hmm. But you're not naked that often. Not that I'm passing judgment either way. I'm just going back to what we were saying before.
No. It's just like I said, incidents,
Yeah.
Changing or showering or, anytime that anybody is naked. I'm not naked more than the average person. But, when I am naked, then sometimes I have 4 little boys. They range in age from 9 to 2. And they just, as much as I teach them about knocking and about modesty, they barge in. Kids do that.
So you wrote this blog. Did you have any idea that it would go as viral as it's gone?
No. Had no idea.
Are you reading the comments? Is that where you're seeing how people are reacting to it, or are people actually sending you personal emails, hitting you up on Twitter, Facebook about it?
Both, actually. I started reading the comments. I have learned that it's very hard to read comments on something like this. I think a lot of times people get into the discussion and they forget that there's actually a person behind the blog, behind the words, somebody that wrote them and is putting their feelings out there. So it's a little bit hard to read some of the comments. But yeah, I've read comments. I got hate mail. I got fan mail. I got tweets. I mean, it's just been insane.
One quick comment before we get out of here. Amanda says, if you have kids, you know it happens. They walk in. Hey, stuff happens. Rita, thanks so much for joining and for writing a really provocative blog post that I enjoyed talking to you about. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Stick around, guys. We've got a lot more great conversations coming up here at HuffPost Live.